Good afternoon, Ghazanfar, and it's nice to actually get the opportunity to meet you and actually get the opportunity to discuss with you the challenges of digital transformation in Pakistan. I think this is a unique opportunity, and I thank you for sharing the time, making the time for this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And this is a huge opportunity actually for us to showcase what we are doing, the challenges that we have, where did we start from, and then where are we now, and what are going to be our future challenges. As you know, one of the signs of being a developing economy, developing country is limited or very limited access to finance. Banking coverage was only about 12% when we started our business in 2012. And on the savings side, it was 12%. On the lending side, people, less than 5% people had access to credit in a country of over 220 million people. So this was very, very discouraging. I mean, if you look at from macroeconomist point of view. Even today, even though we have come a long way since then, as of today, we have about 32 million wallets. We have about 1 million digital borrowers. Overall, the system has about now 50% access to, people have access to savings, and about 10% people have access to loans. But still, there is a long way to go. In payments also, payment space, we have made tremendous progress. Last year, we did about 12 billion rupees transactions, P2P transactions and stuff. But still, if you look at our economy, it's cash-based. So most of the people still out of the system, most of the people still lacking access to credit, most of the people still using cash to settle transactions is a huge challenge as a country, as an economy, as a banking system. And there are many challenges. I think that technology, adoption of technology can help us in overcoming these challenges faster, but that's here we are.
Okay. I mean, this interview or this fireside chat is part of a broader digital leaders series that actually we put together at GSMA, which is really where we look to champion and highlight some of the leaders across the region who are really making a change. And to be honest, you're our first from the banking industry, and I think you've just given us a good summary as to why. You know, we've asked you for this interview today. Historically, I think banking and telcos have often been compared, but not been seen to work together. And I know in Pakistan that's a lot different, you know, with the history and your relationship with Jazz. And so I think this is a great opportunity to get some of your insights and share on our different digital journeys of mobile industry and banking.
Yeah, if you look back, I mean, how the banking industry positioned itself in the economy and in the country, their focus was mostly on the corporate business. You have a network of retail branches, about 13,000 bank branches across the country. It's a fairly large country. And you mobilize savings from all over and then lend it to few hundred businesses, large businesses. And that was the banking model. No mortgage financing, no SME financing, consumer financing, very limited to salaried class, I mean, in the urban centers. And that was the nature of banking, I mean, that we have had. And in terms of international trade also, since our export and import base as a country and share in the international trade was limited. So again, participation in trade financing and other activities was also very limited. So that was the kind of model that we were practicing for 60 years. And then come telcos from nowhere, and within a decade or so, very few people used to have a very big phone in their hands initially, and this used to be kind of a status symbol initially. And then within 10 years or so, 70% people have now access to telephone, 70% plus. So the central bank also started thinking about that these banks are not going to really reach out to the bulk of the population the way these telcos have. Why not to use these telco channels to at least bring people in the system and giving them access and experience of basic banking stuff. So that's how it happened.
That's actually very interesting points there, Mike. I like the comments about how leveraging mobile, because as a platform or a channel to accessing customers, because that really brings to me the question about, I mean, the technology wave of mobile is sweeping the globe, and across the world, the markets are at different positioning, I suppose, and more of the economies are getting digitized every day, but they really do rely on people having access to mobile. So I suppose in the current times, access, is financial services is really one of the engines to spur economic growth. And I mean, Pakistan was one of the early real recognized pioneers and champions, I think, in mobile related banking, mobile banking, operator, participated mobile wallets and stuff. So I suppose in your mind, where is the terms of banking industry and its overall role in the landscape of Pakistan now, given that the progress of technology and the digital solutions and the mobile payments and the digital vision for Pakistan? So where's the bank? You see the banking's role, and how far away or how far along are you on the journey?
Yeah, except with few exceptions. HBL, the largest bank of the country, has just started making efforts to actually use technology to reach out to new customers. And there are a couple of others. Otherwise, so far, what banks have tried to do is just to digitize their existing manual operations. And their understanding of use of technology for financial services was limited to how can they provide an internet window to their customers? How can they bring customers access to, mobile communication, sending them SMS and communicating with them through SMS and then stuff. There was no real effort to actually use technology as an additional channel to bring new customers or offer new products. This gave actually us an opportunity, the telco associated banks. Even though we are a microfinance bank and commercial bank is a different ballgame, as I said, commercial bank primarily focuses on corporate business, large businesses, multinationals, and then middle markets. Their focus was not retail. This gave us an opportunity to reach out to a much larger population. You will be happy to know that we have the largest customer base in the country, the mobile bank, in terms of numbers. We now also have the largest customer base in terms of number of borrowers. And all of these customers are served through mobile phone, the mobile wallet they have. And the processes are instant. They can just become an account holder within a minute. And they can have access to basic credit within a minute. So this is the change. And I think now the bank have the realization that something disruptive has happened and is happening, but they are still far from the stage where they can become full participants in this new game.
I mean, you talk about having some sort of dependence, or your opportunity is actually related to mobile and people having access to mobile, I suppose. And you've mentioned there's a bit of a difference. I mean, the difference between commercial banking and microfinance. But I suppose, how do you see microfinance industry contributing towards financial inclusion? And is it limited somehow by mobile? And what are the other challenges you maybe see in rolling out in the country, given it's a relatively young but booming sector for Pakistan?
Yeah. My sense is that even though microfinance banks, obviously because of regulations, they have to focus on the lowest income segments in the country. These are farmers, these are urban poor, and then low income communities. So their mandate is basically to focus on the 70% plus low income population of the country. So, and then commercial banks obviously have no such focus. They do all sorts of businesses. So the nature of business is different, but there is one interesting difference. Most of the commercial banks, as I said, they mobilize savings from all over the country and lend it to few large customers. And on the contrary, what microfinance banks are doing is they are mobilizing their deposits and savings from urban centers and lending it back to rural communities, primarily farmers, funding basic agricultural production and stuff. So this is an interesting divergence in the model also. Apart from being low income or otherwise, it's the transfer of resources from cities to urban areas, and you know, agriculture is still 20% of our GDP, and 60% employment comes, non-agricultural employment comes from agriculture. So this is very vital for us. So the roles of commercial banks and microfinance seem to be very different, even though both need to do much more to actually reach out to, I guess, 50% population is still unserved. And this cannot be done through brick and mortar. This will only be possible if we are able to deepen and broaden our technology, use of technology, and come up with new products and processes that almost at least 70% plus people become part of the system.
Wow. Okay. With your points on the relationship to mobile, I suppose Pakistan was a real early leader in mobile money system and using SMS. Is the move to smartphones and growth of smartphones, is that like a key factor in the model and in the success and the future vision for, you think, for digital banking in Pakistan?
Yeah, I think I was actually going to ask you about where do you see Pakistan vis-a-vis other regional and other markets in terms of regulations, in terms of capacity that we have compared to some other players in the region, where all of that stuff. But I believe basic financial services we have been able to provide, and then even without having a smartphone, it's the basic phone that is needed basically to access the minimum menu of services, which is savings, money transfers, basic loans, and stuff. However, when we talk about reaching out to slightly larger businesses, SMEs, SME, as you know, like in every economy, in our economy also, SMEs are only 5% of their needs are met by banks, financing needs, and 95% are completely reliant on their private sources of money, or they borrow from family, friends, and other sources. So that will probably not be possible until and unless adoption of smartphone happens at a bigger scale.
I mean, on your point about the regulatory frameworks, I mean, from our perspective, the mobile industry, I think probably, you know, similar to banking, you know, I mean, it's a very national, you know, national regulations. There's a lot of regulations. We deal with a lot of personal data, and but there's a lot of future planning required. And I think you mentioned the question I asked about smartphones is because we actually have I think a synergy between us is in getting people connected. Obviously, there needs to be suitable services for them to want to be connected. But fundamentally, we believe that broadening access to high quality broadband networks, affordable services, and smartphones, creating a population, a connected population, is what's critical for Pakistan to achieve its digital ambitions, and then to unleash the mobile economy and the ability for industries to digitally transform. So for the telco industry, it's really about getting some fair and predictable regimes for spectrum licensing and taxes that are really central to it. So allowing the telecommunications investors to be able to plan that and to manage that as they go forward. Because they'll serve as a catalyst to unlocking, I think, Pakistan's huge potential growth. And I mean huge, it's a very, you know, so much potential for the country with the population and the aspirations and the growth. And that will flow on with further investments, you know, community and society benefits will all flow to a better connected and modern Pakistan. And I think collaboration is going to be key. to fully realize the benefits offered by digital transformation, because it's not just about getting people on a phone, it's actually using that as a foundation to transform the whole country's economy. And by getting them connected, we become more resilient to things like virus, and we get the advance in skills and knowledge and the ability to participate in a global economy, not just national economies. And so while we commend the efforts, certainly the recent efforts by the Ministry of IT and Telecoms and the PTA by working on some real key policy and regulatory issues, we think there's still need to adopt a more agile and flexible approach to policy making, a bit more consultation. Regulatory reforms in isolation are really not enough. They need to engage the full whole of government. I mean, to get that benefits, you really need to be designing the framework and considering the needs of the whole economy and the whole of the government from the highest levels to get that cooperation internally and externally, so that private firms can instigate a shift in mindset and start contributing in a stronger way to digital Pakistan vision. And so for specifically around money services, you know from being there that regulations had a major impact on the uptake of mobile money services. And we've done a number of studies that showed that enabling regulatory frameworks really accelerate the development and adoption of digital financial services. Obviously need appropriate data privacy network frameworks, and that's becoming even more important now as the world becomes even more digital. You need to protect the consumers' personal data, promote trust. I mean, trust is a critical element in a digital economy. And the benefit from a telco point of view is obviously banks usually often have a strong trust in them. And so it's important that that's supported by the mobile industry as well, that we support that trust and confidence of being online. And so it's also important that governments are supposed to refrain from arbitrary and discriminatory taxes that target mobile customers. I mean, you need to be able to get people connected and encourage them to be connected. Otherwise, you get increased consumer costs, and which can be a headwind against growing financial services and engagement. So I think, and finally, mobile money services contribute both to financial integrity of the country, but also financial inclusion. And we call it mobile inclusion, is we're getting people online and connected to broadband because we consider that as an enabler for participation in a digital economy. So I think
I just wanted to Julian, highlight another point also, which is very relevant and increasingly becoming relevant. And I don't know to what extent this has been thought about by GSMA and other international telecom players. The point is, it's no more just a connectivity thing that GSMA provides, or its members provide. It's now becoming, the phone is becoming a basis of a bank account. And when you say bank account, it means money is coming from various sources, money is going to various players, government, private individuals. It also entails getting loans and repaying loans, and then all sorts of financial transactions, which puts us, the ones who provide the platform, such platform, under obligation to make sure that the KYC, identity of people, integrity of connection, and the responsibility that we have in terms of ensuring that financial transactions are appropriate and within the regulatory, legal and regulatory framework, are becoming more and more stringent. Now, as the phone is becoming a basis of hosting a mobile account, obviously, until and unless the very ownership of mobile phones, to start with the SIM, is equally stringently regulated, the challenge will continue to become more serious. So I'm not asking for an answer, but I just expect that that this is understood, that the need for data protection, not only in terms of other data, but financial data and transactions, is becoming very significant.
Yes. I mean, I personally, I think there's a big opportunity that is still really to be understood and addressed for telcos and banks to work close together. As you say, I mean, the phone is, I mean, it's not just something to call people on now. It's actually, I mean, it's a key to so many parts of life, key to bank accounts, key to, you know, communication, access to personal information. It's critical that mobile operators do what they can to, I mean, make sure the networks are secure and even help customers understand security in a better way and their, you know, their safety online. And I think banking and the banking industry and telecoms industry, especially around things like identity and fraud and risk management, actually have an opportunity to work closer together because the phone is really now a personal device. I mean, there was a time in the past where it was maybe it was a family phone or it was a shared device, but more and more it is the keys to a person's life online. And we have complementary data, which can be helped to, I think, increase security, increase trust, and actually add additional services to the mix. But,
there's one associated question or discussion point is women in our country, because of cultural reasons and also because they are poor, this more relates to lower income segments than educated women. They use phone for their whatever needs, but phones are generally in the name of men. And that creates a problem that even though we have a mobile wallet in the name of maybe a male, but the phone is being used by female and like instant lending, for instance. Women can make a request for a loan which the man might not be aware of, who's actually owner of the connection. So these are kind of challenges that we are now seeing. I don't know your experience in other markets, if there are similar challenges elsewhere, and how can we actually deal with them?
Well, I think there is. I mean, it's obviously a cultural element, which is, I think, a much more visible in, say, in Pakistan. But I mean, there's plenty of markets in the region who have at least at some degree of a similar challenge. I think it's incumbent on the mobile operators and with GSMA, we do a lot of work around inclusion of women, because I mean, access to a phone and access to a personal phone has significant value, and the study has shown that significant value by including or giving access to women to being in the digital economy. And it is measured that they are vastly disproportionately underrepresented. So I think it's not an easy task, and in Pakistan the good thing is it's a recognized task. And I think GSMA, we have our Connected Women program, which aims to reduce the gender gap in mobile internet and mobile money services and unlock those commercial and social economic benefits. And we do it in a global perspective. And the great thing is Pakistan's always been at the forefront of that. And Jazz is part of that. And I understand your Jazz Cash has commitments related to financial inclusion connected with mobile. Yes. And so we welcome that, and we welcome the close relationship we've had with Jazz Cash over the years for that. And as part of the program globally, we invite mobile operators to make formal commitments to reduce the gender gap and in the customer base, and then we support them achieve those commitments through sharing information, helping them ensure their actions are actually reaching women and both commercially sustainable and socially impactful. I think so far to date, across the commitments since about 2016, we've got 40 mobile operators who are part of it, which include Jazz, who have made formal commitments to accelerate digital and financial inclusion for women across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And we've already reached around 40 million people. And we look forward every year in working with Jazz Cash and yourselves on how we can continue to grow that. And making sure we can manage identity and the challenges of who owns the phone and who uses the phone. I think it's one of those big tasks, but we're committed to overcoming.
Yeah. Women, I can share with you, I mean, our priority both for Jazz Cash and Mobilink Microfinance Bank. We have about 20% of our borrowers, despite all cultural constraints, who are women, and most of them are rural women who do livestock farming and the other related businesses. We are also hiring dedicated relationship officers, women who go out and look for women customers, particularly the ones who have small business ideas. We are also setting up a branch in Karachi. We have started the process, exclusive branch for ladies, completely staffed by ladies, and then going after women who have bright business ideas and who need financial support, and then how can we help them? I mean, so there are various initiatives in the pipeline at the bank that how can we actually mainstream them, and how can we actually improve their proportion in the overall financial services industry.
Fantastic. Actually, I've got a question for you then. I mean, around the world, I suppose, during the virus or pandemics, I think everyone now broadly recognizes that, high access to mobile or digital has actually helped people survive and made a more resilient economy. So I suppose, and I've heard of a lot of stories, and I've seen, how much technology was used, and the industry collaboration was in Pakistan was used to manage the virus. So I suppose, can you share with me, like from the banking side, I mean, and from your side, what were the key initiatives that helped you and your customers get through the pandemic?
I think without technology, we would have been lost. I can be very frank and upfront. When we faced this issue of lockdowns and our people not being able to go out, and our branches actually were shut for some time, we had to close them. So the only tool that was available to us was phone to reach out to our customers. So we started calling them, we started assuring them that, look, we stand by you in this difficult situation, and don't worry. And not only that you need not to worry about repayment of your loans on due dates, we will give you ample space. We also came up with the health products, which covered cost of COVID tests and treatment, and also shared this with our customers that, look, if you really need to get your costs covered through a very inexpensive health insurance product, which focuses on your COVID-related issues. So our response was very encouraging, and our customers really appreciated. And that is actually one reason we have not been negatively impacted by COVID to the extent that some other economies and countries got impacted. Our customers, when I see their response, by and large, I see them very happy with the way they have been dealt with, during these difficult times.
Wow. I suppose I didn't realize actually to the extent that actually the way we reacted, or how mobile operators and banks may have reacted similarly. And I think, this chat today for me has highlighted we need to chat more, and there needs to be more engagement. It seems like we're dealing with similar progress and similar visions for how we contribute to a digital economy. With that, I hope I can invite you to Barcelona next month to our Mobile World Congress. We certainly hope to have a large delegation from the Pakistan government, the mobile operators coming, and we'll join together there and discuss how we can contribute going forward.
Sure. I would love to participate and then listen to different experiences coming from different parts of the world.
Well, and there's going to be plenty of questions for you too, because I know the answers you've given today will be very enlightening, I think, for a lot of mobile operators as well. Hope to see you.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.